air here that I want to share with you. North Korea is urging the U.S. Not to regret today in the future, and the operational plan to be soon reported to the Supreme Command. So they are in process of deciding what to do. Look, I don't want to send people over the edge here with this reporting, but it is concerning, it is worrisome, and the idea that North Korea is now seriously considering a strategy to strike Guam, and they're saying that, JD, to me, I feel like, where do we go from here? What are next steps? And what do we do to protect Americans in Guam and elsewhere?
Well, first of all, missile defense. We have to keep investing in missile defense, both at sea and on land. And so I think we're doing that, but we need to continue investment in missile defense technology. And I also think that we just have to keep pressuring China, because China is not doing enough. About 90% of North Korea's trade volume is with China, and it's a traditionally leaky border between China and North Korea, even when there are sanctions.
Exactly.
So China's the key.
China is the key. And, I've been quoting essentially Reuters here on these headlines, but now we're getting them from Dow Jones as well. Dow Jones reporting North Korea makes rare, explicit, specific threat on Guam. It looks like this reporting is, it's true. It's absolutely true.
Well, the reporting is true. Of course, whether the North Koreans choose to act is another matter. But the point that has been made by your two other speakers, I think, is exactly right. China possesses or controls 90% of all the food and fuel that goes into North Korea. If pressure is going to be applied, the United States has got to sit down with the Chinese and make it perfectly clear we do not want to engage in a major military encounter, but we may be obliged to do so.
Bruce, how do we make China do our bidding here? I mean, how do we get them on board? Everybody was saying, oh, they were so helpful with these sanctions. Really? I mean, I just don't have a lot of confidence in China to put these across. How do we motivate them?
Right. Well, first of all, on the Guam, North Korea constantly makes threats, and we're always parsing which are real and which are not. In the past, they have threatened specifically Guam with missile attacks.
So this has happened before?
We've seen threats, references to Guam. So we'll have to see how different these are. They're sounding a bit more specific than in the past, and we do have a THAAD missile defense battery on Guam to defend it. But on, getting China to act, we need to divorce law enforcement from diplomacy. We continue trying to cajole or induce China to do, fully implement UN-required sanctions, but we can be using U.S. laws to go against these Chinese entities. The majority of all international transactions in the world are denominated in dollars, which means they have to go through a U.S. bank. That means the majority of North Korean entities, their transactions are denominated in dollars. They're still coming through the U.S. banks, and the Chinese banks and businesses as well. So you can use U.S. laws to impose fines. We've imposed $12 billion in fines on European banks for money laundering for Iran. We haven't imposed a single penny in fines on Chinese banks. You can seize and freeze assets, and you can declare them money laundering concerns, which precludes them from accessing the U.S. financial system.
Before we leave this panel, I just want to tell people one other headline we're getting in here tonight. DJ, from Dow Jones, Kim Jong-un ordered Guam plan after U.S. Air Force flyover. We're getting all of this is coming originally from North Korea state media, who we're hearing from. And we will bring you any other headlines that come in this hour. Panel, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jerry.
And the long-term market impact of rising tensions with North Korea, we're going to break that down. There's a lot of impact